So 15 joined now.
Yeah.
So we may start. Okay. So dear friends, good morning to you all. Today we are going to have our first session with Professor Ayangwam Shayam Kishore. He is professor in the Department of Political Science in Mizoram University. He is having more than 15 years of teaching experience. He is having some around 30 publications in different journals and book chapters. He has written a book a couple of books also. He has guided good number of MPhils and PhD. He is having research experience of more than 15 years. He got his education, his graduation from Delhi University in political science. Then he did his post-graduation from Manipur University and PhD also from there. And he joined Mizoram University as assistant professor, then got promotion up to professor. Today, he is going to speak on religion and politics in the 21st century. So two very burning issues, very pertinent issues, religion and politics. And he's going to take these two things together. So a tough task for you. So Shayam Kishore, time is yours. You can start the session with sharing your.
Oh, thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Okay, then let me say thank you to you also as a coordinator and for inviting me. I'd like to say thank you to the team SRDC, Mizoram University. So let me start my lecture. Let me share the screen and then let me start with that. Is it visible?
Yes, visible.
Yeah. Actually,
but it's not full screen.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. Is it now?
Yes, now fine.
Yeah. Today I'm going to talk on the religion and politics, past and present. You know why I pick up this particular topic? I was thinking I was given the maximum time to think on a particular topic to talk. Then I was thinking, what should I talk? Because it may be both from the science and arts. If I talk as a student of political science, if I talk theory and others, then it will be very, very boring. Particularly nowadays, the online thing, it's a kind of a monologue from a particular teacher. And then I don't know whether people will be there listening me or not. It's becoming a kind of a fashion nowadays. So I come to a particular area where I think it may generate some kind of an interest to some of you. So friends, today I'll talk on the religion and politics. Let me start with this, with a slide. Actually, as we know that recently, means some around, say, 3 weeks back, when Rishi Sunak became the Prime Minister of Britain on 25th October 2022, many people start arguing that it was a triumph of multiculturalism or pluralism of Great Britain. So British society is celebrating the victory of a multicultural society. They're celebrating, but at the same time at home, I mean, in India, a debate started whether India can tolerate or India can have a Muslim prime minister or a Christian prime minister or a prime minister from a minority community in India. You know what this debate is all about? To me, this debate is about whether religion still play a very, very important and crucial role in politics, or whether religion is dying in politics. Or we can say that the individual merit is the only criterion to succeed in politics. So these are some of the issues which linger to me last few weeks. So I want to share about what's happening or what I feel or what my take on the particular issue. So in short, what I'm trying to say is one of the debates is whether religion is still relevant, an important player in politics, or whether the merits of the political actors matter the most in the new millennium. So this is actually based on some of the issue. See that this one of the tweet which becomes very viral. See, Britain now has a Christian king, a Hindu prime minister, Jewish home secretary, a Muslim mayor. So the world is looking to them. So we can have a kind of a discussion on the issue. That's why I come up with this particular topic. Not that I'm an expert, but I just want to share my views on it. So I structure my lecture in the following order. First, let me talk a little bit about the relationship between religion and politics from the ancient, medieval, and modern periods, particularly in the Western society. Then let me come to the India, religion and politics in the context of India. There I divided into three parts. I'll talk about a little bit about the pre-British, then during the British, then the post-independence. Then I'll come at the end, I'll come in Mizoram, religion and politics, how religion is important in politics in Mizoram. I'll come to that. Then at the end, I'll give my observations. So let me start with the ancient. You know, in the past, religion and politics were inseparable. It cannot be separated at all, because the state was a kind of a manifestation of the dominant faith. If the state is a Christian state, then the people have to be Christian. If the state is a Muslim, then they have to be Muslim. That kind of thing was there in the ancient time. Many rulers of the past, or antiquity means basically ancient, argues that they derive their authority and legitimacy from God, not from the people they rule. In democracy, actually, authority and legitimacy comes from the people they rule. So they are justifying their absolute powers on the basis of the divine right to rule. And there are many philosophers who support this particular idea. Say, Christian philosophers, one of the important, St. Augustine. St. Augustine argued that individual is a member of the earthly city as well as the divine city. He accepted that state is a divine institution which was created by God to remedy human sin. This was the argument put forth by St. Augustine. And even in the 18th century, there are scholars like Hegel, George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, one of the important philosophers, political philosophers. He considered that state is essentially a divine institution. And he even described that state is the march of God on this earth. Just imagine, even in the 1800s, he was talking about that state comes from above as a representative of God. He believed that the individual had no right against the state, and the freedom of the individual consisted of blind obedience to the dictates of the state. It means you and me doesn't have any right to question to the state according to their ideas. But this idea changed during the medieval period a bit of, not so much. Again, during the Middle Ages, a distinction was made between the cross and the sword, the church and the ruler, meaning. That is between the spiritual and the territorial power. Yet, the supremacy of the church in Europe was unchallenged. It means even during the medieval period, the supremacy of the church in Europe was unchallenged or cannot be challenged by a secular state, because the state in the modern sense was yet to exist. We have to remember here that during the medieval period, the formation of state in the modern state was just begin, is yet fully mature, or the idea of state was not fully organized at that point of time. So in fact, the early Christian churches insisted that their sovereignty was supranational. When I say supranational, I mean the power or the influence uh, is beyond the national boundaries and the governments. So the Christian churches insisted that the sovereignty of the state is beyond the boundary of the state and government. It is much, much beyond that. It means it have to be direct connect with the above, the God. So the Holy Roman Emperor was anointed by the Pope during the Protestant reformations. Later on, monarchs, meaning the sovereign or the rulers, were based themselves upon the principle of cujus regio, ius religio. What does it mean? It is a Latin word which means that the subject must accept the religion of their ruler. It means during this time, the people have to be accepted the religion of the ruler. It means they have to defend, they have to establish, and they become the head also. It means whoever becomes the ruler, the people of that particular country, particular nation, particular state, they have to follow the religion of that ruler. Then there was some controversy over the supremacy between the church and the secular power during this particular point of time. There were three issues mainly. When I say there are three issues, I mean there are three theories during this particular time. The controversy regarding the supremacy of the church or state constituted an important part of medieval political thought. Why I'm talking about this basically during this medieval period is medieval period is the transition period. In the ancient, it's all about supremacy of the God, supremacy of the church. But in the medieval, people realize that the religious or that the religion cannot interfere to the state. To many people, they realize. That is why there are three issues. There are three theories during this particular point of time. Firstly, people start arguing that the secular power was supreme. The secular power was supreme in the sense the ruler is the supreme head, whether he comes from above, whether he is supported by some church elders or the Pope or the priests. But what is important here is the secular authority, whether he derives his authority from the people or from the God. The power may be derived from the God or from the people, whatever it is. But the secular ruler was supposed to be the supreme. This is one argument. This theory considers religion as a department of state and subordinate the church to the king. It means the first theory talks about here religion is not supreme. Religion is a part of the state, a department of the state. And subordinated the church to the king. Secondly, this theory again believed that in the supremacy of the church over the empire and culminated in the hegemony of uh, hegemony of the Pope over the empire. So, firstly, in the first part, I was saying the secular ruler was supreme. The second opinion is, or the second view is, no, no, no. The church is the supreme. According to this theory, the world is governed. The world is governed according to two systems: the sacred authority of the priests and the royal power. As the priests were answerable to God at the time of the last judgment, even with regard to the king, the latter must submit to the former. What does it mean? It means the God, here in the second theory or the second opinion is the state have to throw their power from the religious institutions. That is why we are saying supremacy of the church over the empire. And at the same time, they also want to keep some kind of a room for the ruler. That is why the world is governed according to two systems: the sacred authority of the priests and the royal power. When I say royal power, I mean the ruler, the secular ruler. So this was the situation. Then thirdly, the third theory views that the Pope and the emperor were co-equal and coordinate power, each having its own sphere and duties. Here in the third, or you can say the last view, is the Pope, the head of the religious institution, and the emperor, the ruler, were at par, were having co-equal and coordinate power, each having its own sphere and duty. It means it is divided, the power is divided. Here, the church should concern itself only with spiritual matters and leave secular affairs to the states. And this theory is popularly known as theory of two swords. It means one is for the church, one sword is for the church, and one is for the secular, for the ruler. So this theory, the interesting part of this theory is, if we look back again from the ancient, in ancient, everything is about the religious institutions. That's a head. Then come down to the equality. So here they try to propagate that. This theory was propagated by the emperor. It means the ruler, the king, the queen, they realize that their power are taken away by the church. So they want to consolidate their power. That is why they are propagating this theory. When I say this theory, means this theory argue that Christ had two swords. That is, one for the church and one for the state. And the state was as divine as the church. The state is divine as much as the So here the third argument is the state as well as the church are equally powerful, and they should look after in their own affairs. The ruler were no less important than the priests and were directly accountable to God. If they sinned, they would be punished by God in the life hereafter. It means God is watching very closely to the ruler. If the ruler commit some crimes, mistake, then they will be punished by the God. It means still the power of the church was still very, very important up to this point. But from here on, in the modern period, religion and politics should be separated. What I'm trying to say is, in the modern period, scholars started arguing that religion and politics should be separated. It means, like in the third argument of the previous slide, they're co-equal, but now there should be no connection between religion and the state. And this idea was propagated or moved forward by Machiavelli. According to Machiavelli, there should be no relationship between politics and religion. That is why Machiavelli separated politics and religion. For him, moral virtue is good for the individuals, but it may or may not be so for the prince, for the rulers. It means moral virtue is very, very good for the people as an individual, but it is not so good for the ruler. According to Machiavelli, the state is not a means, but an end in itself with its own interests. It means state is the end. State cannot be used as a means. State is having its own interests. State has its own interests. Every state has its own interests. And they're supposed to serve. So the interest of the state justifies everything. The state has no ethics. State action are not to be judged by individual ethics. So these are the argument of the Machiavelli. In exercising political power, Machiavelli opines that a ruler should give priority to what is good for the state rather than what is moral or immoral. It means if it is necessary, Machiavelli doesn't want to kill others. That is what he actually propagates in his book The Prince. Machiavelli wrote a book called The Prince, titled as The Prince, during the before the unification of Italy. He basically sent out a message to the King Lorenzo: do everything which is required to unify Italy. Forget about the bloodshed. For him, he doesn't mind to keep for the welfare of the state or for the benefit of the state. So for him, there is no moral and ethics and religion when it comes to the relationship with the state. That is why Machiavelli separated the idea of living together with religion and politics. From here on, Europe has changed. Not that it's only Machiavelli, but there are other factors like the industrializations and others. As a result of that, religion and politics are two separate entities. This was the argument. And this argument continued till the 19th century. Up to now, many of them. In the 19th century, there are many scholars like Auguste Comte, Herbert Spencer, Durkheim, Weber, Karl Marx, Freud, and many other scholars who argue and predicted that religion would gradually fade away from politics. They argued that religion will gradually fade away from politics because of industrializations. Or we can also say that because of the modernizations or political development and political modernizations. Because of these developments in the 18th and 19th century, they argue and believe that religion will slowly go away. The belief that religion was dying became the conventional wisdom in the social sciences during the most part of the 20th century. You know what? Though they argue and believe, but as we witness, as we come to know, as we experience, religion, however, has not disappeared in the new millennium and is unlikely to do so. Religion is still playing a very, very important role, even though many scholars has argued that religion will fade away with the modernization, with the industrialization and modernization, political development, with all this, it will fade away. But it is not happening in the line of thinking of, say, Durkheim or Weber's or the Karl Marx. It's not. In other words, religion is still playing a very, very crucial role in the sphere of politics. Actually, religious institutions are neither designed nor intended to mobilize political action. This is what we have to remember. What I'm trying to say is, religious institutions, whatever religion it is, it may be Hindu or Muslim or Christian, whatever religions it may be, the religious institutions are neither designed nor intended to mobilize political action in any manner. Yet, across the globe, all over the world, there seems to be done precisely that. In the sense that we think there's no room, but religious institutions are mobilizing political action. In many parts of the world, though Britain is celebrating the multiculturalism, the victory of multiculturalism, though I'm not going to the theory of multiculturalism, there are theories like melting pot, salad bowl, and all, when it comes to the multiculturalism also. But the reality or the experience we witness today is religious institutions are mobilizing political action. We have witnessed in the, recently, for example, we talk about the Iran and Iraq, or even in Iran, the issue of hijab is yet to be settled down. Or if we see the Afghanistan, the Taliban already take over and control. Now they are the rulers of Afghanistan. We witnessed the we have witnessed the rise of religious fundamentalism in different parts of the world. What does it mean? It means the world has witnessed the resurgence of religious politics in different countries and regions around the world, particularly in the post-Cold War era. When I talk about this Cold War era, I mean Cold War has ended with the collapse of Soviet Union, as we all know. That collapse of Soviet Union happens in the 1991 December 26, 1991, Soviet Union collapsed. After the collapse of Soviet Union, we have witnessed, after the Cold War, I mean, the world witnessed the resurgence of religious institutions or the rise of religious fundamentalism in different parts of the world. You know, why I'm mentioning all this is basically because the importance of religion seems to be very, very crucial even today in different parts of the world. Now, let me go to the Indian context. Let me go to the Indian context. You know, in the context of India, as I said, I divided into three parts. The first part is the pre-British, during the British, then in the post-independent India. In the pre-British era, you know, the Indian subcontinent was secular. Why I'm saying Indian subcontinent was secular? Basically because religion and politics were not mixed up. When I say religion and politics were not mixed up, I mean that no ruler imposed their subject to follow a particular religion of the ruler. No state has any state religion, and no ruler was ruling as per their religious texts. That was the situation in the pre-British. But that doesn't mean that all the communities, religious community, are living in a very good relationship. At the same time, we have to remember that Ashoka the Great, who happens to be the first great emperor, according to me, to announce as early as 3rd century BC that state was not prosecute any religious sect. It means in ancient India, Emperor Ashoka and others, they don't mix up with religion and politics. They don't insist their subject to follow the religion the ruler followed, the religion of the ruler. At the same time, before the British, as we all know, British comes by 1600, then 1800, they have control. The relationship between Hindus and Muslims was not always good. In the pre-British era, I'm talking about. There were religious riots in the subcontinent. It means, even though in the ancient, the Indian subcontinent was very much secular, but later on, the issue of religions becomes very, very important. And this issue of Hindu and Muslim were used by the Britishers when the British came to India. During the colonial periods, British administrators, the British administrator used religion as one of the most important tools to control India. What I'm trying to say is, the moment the British control the Indian subcontinent, they realize that there is a fault line between Hindu and Muslim. And they use this as a weapon to divide and rule the country. As a result of that, they introduced religious-based reservations since Murli Minto reform in 1909. And they continue that reservations based on the religion. Whether it is the Act of 1919, whether it is Act of 1935, they continue with these religious-based reservations. The administrators supported the religious-based organizations in order to suit their agenda, which ultimately promoted Hindu-Muslim enmity. The animosity of Hindu and religion becomes very, very handy for the British to control the Indian subcontinent without much worriness. At the same time, we have to remember that the Indian freedom movement was marked by secular tradition and ethos right from the beginning. It means on the other side, the British were trying to rule India by using Hindu and Muslim, in the name of Hindu and Muslim. On the other side, the Indian nationalists, they wanted a kind of a secular movement. They don't want to launch the movement, the freedom movement, based on their religious color. They don't want to use the religion at all. That is why most of the nationalist leaders, there are many from the Muslim, they're from the Hindus, they all combine together, they work together to free India. The colonizers supported the Muslim League right from the formation of the Muslim League till the establishment of Pakistan. The colonizers supported the Muslim League on different occasions. Subsequently, India and Pakistan were born as two countries through violence. And as we all know, what happened after that? The partitions, the issue of partition, as we all are aware of, is still yet to be resolved. The partition of Indian subcontinent witnessed hundreds of thousands of Hindus and Muslims were killed. It means many people were killed, hundreds and thousands of people across the religions were killed during riots, ethnic cleansing, and cross-border migration took place. The partition led to the largest scale, mass scale migration, of religious group in the history of Indian subcontinent. The tragedy was caused when religion was linked with the formation of modern territorial states. It means the partitions, because of the partitions, we have witnessed hundreds and thousands of people were killed. and even the ethnic cleansing. Just imagine. And because of this tragedy, this tragedy is caused because of the formation of modern territorial states. And the problem of partition, as I said, is yet to be resolved even today. You see the issue of India-Pakistan. India-Pakistan are not eye to eye. They're not even talking eye to eye in the international level even. Forget about even the diplomacy, even cricket. India is not ready to play cricket with Pakistan, except in the World Cup and others in the neutral venue. They don't want to go to Pakistan, or Pakistan are not allowed to come to India. The seeds of all these relations were sown way back during the British. The strained relationship between various communities continue till date. The relation which was established during the British and continue that kind of relationship in many parts of the Indian subcontinent even continue today till date. All the above indicates that it was during British rule that rigid boundaries, I'm saying rigid boundaries, were established between Hindus and Muslims. Rigid boundaries were established. This is very, very important. Then, at the time of independence, when I say at the time of independence, I mean when India was about to be free from the British yoke. The founding father, as I said before, the Indian freedom struggle was based on the secular tradition and ethos. So they want India to be a secular state from the beginning. So when Indian Constitution was about to frame, or we can say that when India got her independence, the founding father of the Constitution of India incorporated the ideas of Indian secularism, and this is reflected in the fundamental rights. Article 25 to 28 guarantees each of us the right to practice any religion. It means Article 25 to 28, particularly Article 25, it talks about the freedom of conscience and free profession, practice, and propagate of any religion. I'm free to follow any religion. You are free to follow any religion. These are guaranteed by the Constitution of India. And this was not inserted or incorporated later on. This idea was incorporated from the beginning. Later on, the term secular was again inserted in the preamble through the 42nd Amendment Act 1976 of the Constitution of India. It means in the beginning, the term secular was not used in the Constitution of India, but later on it inserted through an amendment. But what is important is, from the beginning, the founding father realized that people should be given free to choose their religion. That is why they put it as a part of the fundamental rights. This is something which we have to be proud of. Then after we incorporated the term secular in 1976, the additions or the inclusion of the word secular changed the description of India from a sovereign democratic republic to a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic. Or we can simply say that India is a secular country today. So why we are saying India is a secular? Is it simply because we are free to choose whatever religion we want? Or is it more than that? More than that, it means, is it the state has any right, or the state doesn't have any right to help or to assist any religious body? You know, in the context of India, the meaning of a secular country is that it doesn't prioritize any religion for the country and its people. What does it mean? It means state cannot give any emphasis to a particular religion. State doesn't have any right. State doesn't have any authority or any right to give preference to a particular religion. In the words of a former Chief Justice of India, B.V. Kajendra Kakar defines secularism. I quote, "The state doesn't owe loyalty to any particular religion as such. It is not irreligious or anti-religious. It gives equal freedom to all religions." So, a former Chief Justice of India defines secularism in such a way that the state here means India, doesn't owe any loyalty to a particular religion as such. When the state doesn't prioritize or give preference to any religion, that doesn't mean that India is not irreligious or anti-religious. Rather, Indian secularism basically means to give equal freedom, equal opportunity to all religion to prosper. This is the beauty of Indian secularism. In other words, all the institutions will enforce parliamentary laws instead of religious law and respect pluralism by recognizing and accepting all religions. What I'm trying to say is, when we say secularism in the context of India, we are saying, or we are basically arguing that, or we believe that the law of the land should be enforced, or the law of the land should be based on the parliamentary laws, or you can say constitutional law, instead of any religious law. And also, it also means to respect pluralism by recognizing and accepting all religions. That is why in India, all religion all over the world, the religions from all over the world are also available in India. Because the state doesn't discriminate. The state doesn't prioritize any particular religion. In short, in the context of India, the separation of religion from the state constitute the core of the philosophy of philosophy of secularism. It means for us, religion is separated from the state. And this separation of religion and state is a foundation of our secularism. The state will not support any religion officially or otherwise. It means Indian government or Indian authority or the state or the government or the governments in India. When I say governments in India, I mean both the state and central governments. They don't have any right to support any religion, officially or otherwise. It means they cannot promote any particular religion in India. This is the constitutional position regarding the relationship between religion and politics in India. It means constitutionally, the state cannot have any kind of relationship with any religious body. State cannot promote any particular religion. State cannot discriminate any particular religion. Rather, the state have to respect all the religions of the world. This is the constitutional position. This doesn't mean that we cannot have any relationship between religion and politics in India. This doesn't mean that there is no relationship at all. In practice, different religious bodies do help and support political parties in one way or others to get their religious agenda. Even though constitutionally state and religion are separated, in practice, we have been witnessing that different religious bodies try to help, made an attempt to help and support different political parties in one way or the other. And whatever help they are lending doesn't come free of cost. They also expect something from the state. Different religious bodies lend their support or oppose. They not only support, they also oppose at times. They also oppose to a particular political party at the time of elections. It means people have, even though constitutionally there is no state religions, there is no encouragement to follow a particular religion. At the same time, at the individual level, or at the level of the organizations, different religious body to help and support political party. And also the different religious body also lend their support. You know, there are religious bodies that lend their expertise and popularity to the government and sometimes want to enforce their policy towards the state. Now, what I'm trying to say here is there are religious bodies who are helping, assisting the state in a very, very positive manner to the government and sometimes want to enforce their policy towards the state. It means that some religious bodies support the government whenever their help is required by the authority. It means somebody are some religious bodies are always ready to support whenever the authority, whenever the government seek their support and help to the government, they are ever ready. They are ready to support the government. I mean, some of the religious bodies, some of the religious organizations, they are ready to support whatever support the government needs. Here we need to differentiate between the demand from the state as well as demand from the society. We have to remember that at times, many religious bodies are always, at times, many religious bodies try to help the states in whatever capacity. And at the same time, we also have to remember that religious bodies do help in the social issues, political issues, at different point of time in the Indian context. And also at times they impose their ideas on the state. This is where we need to have a boundary. Up to which part, how much the religious bodies, the religious organization can help, or do the religious body have any right and authority to impose their will to the states? As I said, constitutionally, the position of India vis-a-vis with religion is very, very clear. We're not supposed to support any religion. But is a religious body have the right to support the government across the parties? So this is the crux. This is where we have to ponder. This is where we have to think seriously. Whether religious bodies has a right to interfere. If not, where is the red line? Where is the boundary? So let me go to the let me come to Mizoram, or let me go to Mizoram. Let's see how the church play a very, very crucial role, not only in the politics, but also in the social realm, social sphere. So let me talk a little bit about the relationship between religion and politics in Mizoram. You know, I think many of you are not from Mizoram. I was told very few of you are from Mizoram. I mean, there's some Mizo also. I think they all will agree with me that the church play a very, very crucial role in the overall development of Mizo society. Mark my word, I'm saying overall development. It may be in the social, it may be at the political level, maybe even at the economic level, they do help. The activities of the church are not limited to spreading the gospel alone, but also include the socio-political aspects of this society. It means the church are very, very active, not only at the religious sphere, but also at the social and the political aspect, at the social and political sphere. The church occupy The churches occupy and play an important role in the socio-political sphere of the Mizo society. I'll be coming with some examples how the church play a very, very important role in the social and the political area. The church is more than a religious institution in Mizo society, in the sense that it involves in the social and political issues of the society apart from its normal activities in religious issue. Here, let me tell you one thing, that in Mizo society, or Mizo society is having three foundations, or you can say there are three foundations. What are they? I'm talking about the Mizo society. One is a state, another is the church, and another is the Young Mizo associations. Mizo society cannot survive, or will be difficult to survive, the moment you remove one of them. It may be the YMA, it may be the church. We cannot talk Mizo society, we cannot talk about Mizo society without the church. We cannot talk Mizo society without YMA. YMA means Young Mizo Association. This is the most powerful and popular organizations of the Mizo society. Though it is the title, the name is Young Mizo Association, the office bearer of the Young Mizo Association is not very young. They are not young. They are all mature. Those who are in the 40s and the 50s. They are the one who run the Young Mizo Association, including even in the local level, the branch level. And the church and the YMA always work together. The church also work as a pressure group. The churches interfere and also pressurize the government on many issues confronting Mizo society. What does it mean? It means the church can reach out its hand to the governmental level as well as the societal level. They can pressurize the government if they think that this is not good. They can also stop, they can put a brake on the government. Like an opposition party, they can put a brake on the government. This is not good. You cannot do it. And they really stop. That is where I said interfere. I'm coming to that. For example, the issue of liquor. In Mizo word, liquor is basically Jew. When Christianity was adopted by the Lusai, when I say Lusai, I mean Christianity, when Christianity came to Mizoram, at that time, the term Mizo was not very popular, was not used. That's why I'm using the term Lusai here. So when Christianity was adopted by the Lusai, or you can say Mizo, drinking of liquor was condemned and discouraged by the missionaries from the very beginning. I can also say here that liquor is a part and parcel of the Lusai life before the arrival of Christianity. Before they converted into Christianity, liquor was a part of their culture. Those people who converted to Christianity have to give up the habit of drinking liquor. The churches continue their effort of making Mizoram free from liquor continue even today. They pressurize the government not to allow the sales and consumption of liquor in Mizoram. Let me explain here one thing, that some around 7-8 years back, 8 years back, at that time, Congress was ruling party headed by Pu Lalthang Haula. The Congress government realized that they can earn few crores of rupees. They can earn some 100 crore of rupees from legalizing the selling of liquor. Remember here that Mizoram is a tri-state, was a tri-state, but for some around 4 years, Mizoram was allowed to sell liquor. The Congress government come out with the Mizoram Liquor Prohibition and Control Act 2014, was implemented in 2014 itself. But after 5 years, these policies have to be repealed. You know, at the time of election in 2018, the church, particularly the synod, the President Church, were against this particular act. They even devoted many Sundays to discuss the liquor issue in Mizo society. And at that point of time, when the election was about to be conducted, MNF come out, the Mizo Nation Front, the ruling party today, the ruling party of Mizoram, they promise that if they come back to power, they will repeal the Liquor Act passed by the Congress government. And they won the election in 2018, December election. Within 6 months, they repealed the act. That is basically because they were supported by the church and they cannot do it against the church. That is why a new act, the Mizoram Liquor Prohibition Act 2019, was passed and implemented with immediate effect from 28 May 2019. Just imagine the power of the church here. The church can influence the people. We don't want liquor. MNF is here. They openly, they will not say. But we all know that whoever come out or whoever ready to repeal the act, the people supported by the church will support. MNF took the opportunity. And they also delivered the promise that they would repeal the act within 6 months. They have done it. Then in another, we have to remember here that Mizoram also experienced insurgency from 1966 till 1986. It means 20 years of insurgency. Because of the Mizo Nation Front, who declared Mizoram as an independent country in the intervening nights between February 28 and March 1966. But we normally write it as 1st March 1966, because right after the 0 hours they attack and they declare independence. During the insurgency period, it is the church who come out openly and help the people as well as the government. The church, particularly the President Church and the Baptist Church, were the forerunner in mediating the MNF, the Mizo Nation Front, and the Indian government. The church first formed committees to assist the victim of the conflict. For example, the Synod Standing Committee under the Presbyterian Church. This was established. The Synod established the Isol Citizen Committee on 12 March 1966. In this committee, there are other churches also like Salvation Army, Pentecost, then Roman Catholic. And they held. Similarly, another committee also formed in Lunglei. Lunglei is the southern town, the second largest town of Mizoram. There also they formed Lunglei Citizen Committee by the Baptist Church of Mizoram. Then again, the Baptists and the Presbyterian Church come together and they formed the Christian Peace Committee in July 1966. This committee took up the responsibility to bridge the gap between the differences, to bridge the gap between the Indian government and the MNF in the larger interests of the Mizo society. What I'm trying to say here is the Christian Peace Committee, they are the one who negotiate between the MNF and the Indian government. Just imagine a religious body, an organization formed by the religious community, by religious head, they come forward and help. The aims and objective of the Christian Peace Committee were to find out a peaceful solution between the Indian government and MNF, and also to restore peace, security, and normal life for the people of Mizo Hills at that point of time. During this time, there was no such thing as Mizoram. During this time, this is during the Mizo Hills as a district of Assam. So Mizo Hill district is a part of Assam, a district of Assam at that point of time. And during this time that the church play a very, very crucial role. Because of this, the MNF and the Indian government managed to come together, managed to settle. They negotiate hard, and then at the end, they sign a memorandum of understanding in the June 38, 1986, and insurgency was over. After that, Mizoram was established. Mizoram as a state officially comes 1987, in February 1987. So what I'm trying to say is the church play a very, very important role even during the insurgency period in Mizo society in Mizoram. Then let's move on to the role of the church in politics today, particularly during elections. You know, today the insurgency is over, but even today the church is playing a very, very important role, particularly during the elections. The church become very, very active in politics, especially during the election in Mizoram. Next year, Mizoram is going to have its elections. You will find that the church become very, very active by this time next year. The church will become very, very active because election will take place in the last part of November or the early part of December. So they will become very, very active. The church, particularly the Presbyterian Church of Mizoram and its sponsor organization, directly supervise and issue election guidelines for Mizoram. Just imagine. Those of you who are not from Mizoram will not really believe, or may be difficult to believe or difficult to understand. So let me say that the Presbyterian Church of Mizoram, with the initiative of the Presbyterian Church of Mizoram, form an organization called Mizoram People Forum. This Mizoram People Forum was formed in order to manage the elections, in order to manage the electoral process in the states. The argument of the Synod, the argument of the Mizoram Presbyterian Church was that elections becoming very, very corrupt, in the sense that it become the malpractice, buying and selling of election is becoming the order of the day, particularly in 2003 elections. As a result of that, they want to have a check on the electoral malpractices, and they want to cleanse up the elections, in the sense that the church wanted to conduct elections free and fair. Open, free and fair election is what they want. So they form the Mizoram People Forum, and they asked the political parties, including the Congress, MNF, BJP, other parties, they were asked to sign a kind of a guidelines, an election guideline to be used during the 2008 elections. Political parties doesn't have any option, they sign. And they take that guideline more important than the mode of conduct, the code of conduct of the Election Commission of India. As a result of that, from 2008, 2013, 2018, in the last 3 elections conducted in Mizoram, Mizoram witnessed more or less a free and fair election, particularly in the Presbyterian-dominated areas. And this kind of experience, no other state in India experienced such kind of supervision of the electoral process, either directly or indirectly, by any civil organization or religious organization in the country. No organization till now. The way the Mizoram People Forum is conducting the election side by side with the Election Commission of India. I'm not saying that Election Commission of India is totally sidelined. They take into consideration that they work together. Rather, we can say that they work together along with the Mizoram People Forum, and Mizoram People Forum is the one who is helping in one way or others. So this is the situation, this is the context. So lastly, I want to say that this is the my observations. Many scholars believe that religion was dying in the 20th century and will be completely disappear. But this is not happening. Religious institutions are still very, very active and powerful, and they can even mobilize political actions. Also, the world witnessed the emergence of religious fundamentalism in different parts of the globe, and they are very, very influential and powerful. In other words, the world witnessed the resurgence of religious politics in different countries and regions around the world till date. Because of this reappearance of the role and activities of religion in politics, one scholar, sociologist, Peter Buckers, argue and introduce a new concept called desecularization. When he say desecularization, he denotes a variety of manifestation of the worldwide resurgence of religion. He even warned that those who neglect religion in their analysis of contemporary affairs do so at great peril. It means if you neglect religion, means you are at great danger. In the sense, you cannot neglect religion even today. In short, religion is still relevant in politics and will continue to do so in the foreseeable futures in many parts of the world. Thank you. Here I stop my presentation, and if there is any question and all, I'm ready to take some of the questions. Sir, any question and answers? Any participants?
So far, no questions, sir. So participants, please put some question. It was a very interesting topic, religion and politics. Any question? Dear participants, any question on this topic?
Or nobody is listening?
Um,
The problem online is they may be sleeping or they may be somewhere else.
Sometime. Actually, but we are having our evaluation process. We are considering this. The persons who are raising questions, we note their names.
Okay,
That
that's
is
good.
part of the evaluation. But actually, questions make it more lively.
Yeah, that's what I won. I won at least a couple of questions, if not many.
One question came from Michael. Sir, what is the reason that this is possible in Mizoram while it is not possible in other states?
Okay, let me try to respond the question put up by Michael. Michael, the interesting part of the Mizo society is it is more homogeneous in the sense most of the 80% plus of the population are Christians. No doubt they have different denominations within the Christian also, but the largest uh, denominations of Mizoram, that is the President Church of Mizoram, they are the one who is initiating this particular initiating to cleanse up the elections. As a result of that, many people agree with them, and they also cleverly they go along with the Election Commission of India. As a result of that, they can do it. But there are other states which are Christian state, more or less, like Nagaland or Meghalaya. They cannot do it. They try to copy the model of Mizoram, but they fail. Because Mizoram, the Christian in Mizoram are very different from Nagaland or in Manipur, basically because in Nagaland and Manipur, Christian are ethnicized. In the sense that you will not find the way they put up the, say, for example, in Nagaland, if you go to Dimapur or in Kohima, you'll find like Ao Naga Church, Ao Baptist Church, or in Manipur, you'll find like the Kuki Baptist Church or Tangkhul Baptist Church. In Mizoram, it is not like that. In Mizoram, it will be based, the church will be titled according to the locality name. If the locality is X, then it will be called as X Baptist Church, X Presbyterian Church. So they are more unified in that line as a result of that. And then the power of the church are still very, very strong. People believe, people are still, the people respect the church. As a result of that, they can do it, which the other state cannot do it. This much I can say for the time being.
Okay, thank you, sir. No more question. Only thanks says many thanks are coming from participants. So we may conclude this session. Our next resource person has also joined, Professor Aditya Tripathi from Library Science, Banaras University. So thank you, Professor Shayam Kishore, for sparing your time and discussing a very interesting topic on religion and politics, past and present. So thank you, sir. And we hope
Thank you.